Let us remind ourselves that our faith is one which celebrates the love of community. Each of us are members of this larger family, and we are here to give the love and support of those among us who need our special gifts. The benefit of our community is that we can also share with when those of us among us are celebrating their joys and happiness, and also our joys and their joys and happinesses are our joys and happiness. Let us enjoy a quiet time of peaceful meditation as we clear our thoughts and be with each other in silence. Precious Creator of life, be among our community of faith today. Let us work to give strength to those among us who need our tender, loving care, to know that we are there with them, and we are here as a loving community of faith to be with them. Keep in our thoughts the people of Japan as they recover from another frightening earthquake, which serve only to remind them of the tragic tsunami that they are still recovering from. Let us rejoice when we can and make each of the moments in each other's lives special. Let us continue to serve each other in love, dignity, compassion, for we belong to a beloved community built on strong foundations of love and acceptance. Amen. Please join me in singing Comfort Me.
larger work of a temporary state of grace. And it's entitled, Why Did the Unitarian Universalist Cross the Road? There may be several possible answers to why the Unitarian Universalist might cross the road. Among those might be because that's where they were serving coffee. Or maybe they didn't cross the road. They transcended it. Or they only got as far as the middle of the road, and since they didn't want to take sides, they didn't cross the road. And some have suggested that they were supporting the chicken who was finding her own path. The fact is that we cross the road for the same reason that the chicken did, to get on the other side. Getting to the other side isn't always simple. People we love die. We grow and change in unexpected ways. We make mistakes and hurt people that we care about, and vice versa. We can find ourselves more alone at times than we think we can bear. And yet there are times when we are overwhelmed by the beauty of this world, or by the blessings of unexpected kindness. Getting to the other side is made easier when we choose to travel with others. Life in community isn't always easy, but it's the only place we can practice being human. We will reach the other side with fewer regrets, and with less baggage if we have found a way to accept each other for who we are, even as we seek to be who we might become. In community, we are reminded of our ideal, yet it is also a place to confess our limitations and express our deepest hopes. Liberal religion is not easy street, but what we do have to offer is this: a tradition that affirms human dignity, that encourages spiritual growth and discovery, and that is intellectually honest in the face of the complexities of our time. We offer these tools and our companionship so that we might help each other get safely from here to the other side. Amen and blessed be. And now I'd like to introduce to you our speaker, Ryan Conley. Ryan comes to us from the Valley UU congregation in Chandler, where he's been a member since 2006 after moving to the Valley from Reno, Nevada. Ryan served on the search committee that recently called their new settled minister and continues to serve on the worship council, where he is one of the more popular lay preachers in the congregation. Ryan grew up in the rural deserts of northern Nevada as a Presbyterian, but his parents were very much Unitarian Universalists and would frequently mention UUism to Ryan, stating that they would be members of a UU congregation if only there was one nearby. After moving to Reno to attend university, Ryan quickly became active in the local UU fellowship in Reno. It was in Reno where he discovered a passion for preaching and did so there on a regular basis. He has developed a style of preaching he gladly calls unconventional Unitarian Universalism, and he soon plans to enter the ministry. Today, Ryan's sermon will be UUism in the 21st century.
One question.
I'm going to take the papers here.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Paul, for playing so beautifully this morning. Reverend Blanchard continued by saying, to get to the other side, it can be a treacherous journey, made less so if we choose to listen and learn from those who have made the trip before us and know something about the road. They could be Jesus, the Buddha, Zoroaster, Rumi, Starhawk, and Thoreau, Harriet Tubman, Malcolm X, and Harvey Milk. Teachers whose living was a testament and remains a testament of the sacred dimensions of being human. Whenever we as Unitarian Universalists examine our history, we are delighted to see among our membership people such as suffragist icon Susan B. Anthony, the controversial anti-slavery advocate Theodore Parker, and the powerfully inspirational educational reformer Elizabeth Palmer Peabody, the brilliant actor and brave champion of the rights of the disabled Christopher Reeve. I can go on and on. A website, the famous uuse.org, contains a list of prominent Unitarian Universalists in history, and I see you also have a blackboard on the back that contains the names of many as well. I have studied the various religious icons of Unitarian Universalism throughout our history, and I have discovered something that actually surprised me. As it is now, it was then as well. The vast majority of the most influential Unitarian and Universalist reformers in our past were actually converts. Many of them found us late in life, well after their hard work had been done. Susan B. Anthony, for instance, was born a Quaker. She attended a Quaker boarding school in Philadelphia and didn't find Unitarianism until she was 29. By then she was disenfranchised by her Quaker faith, not for its message, but rather as she saw it, a persistent hypocrisy she witnessed within the clergymen of her local congregation. Theodore Parker was raised in a Congregationalist church, which adhered to a very conservative Calvinistic style of doctrine. If it weren't for the tragic events of his life battling tuberculosis, which took his mother when he was 12, and later took the life of his father and all but 2 of his 10 brothers and sisters, by the time he was 27, he may have found himself preaching Calvinism instead. But the tragedies he faced in his early life and the apparent belief in the hellfire that awaited them from his conservative-minded religious community convinced him to seek inspiration elsewhere, and he found Unitarianism. Unitarianism wasn't all that ready to embrace the theology of Parker, however. He was defined as bullish, arrogant, rude by many, and was rejected by most of the Unitarian clergy of his day. He was the real Michael Moore of his day, openly and vigorously fighting against slavery and promoting his newly found transcendentalist theology, which rejected much of the traditional doctrine of our liberal Unitarian faith. He could not find a congregation that would have him. So he and a few of his followers founded their own congregation in the Boston area, which eventually grew to a membership of 7,000. Christopher Reeve grew up Presbyterian like myself, but rejected the faith and stopped practicing the religion when he was a teenager. He was a strikingly intelligent, gifted athlete, actor, and academic, and he graduated from the prestigious Princeton Day School as an honor student and eventually graduated from Cornell University. He studied at Juilliard. He dabbled in Scientology for a short time, but then he became an outspoken critic of that particular religion. In May of 1995, he suffered a spinal injury in an equestrian accident which made him a quadriplegic. And after his accident, he became a huge social activist and a champion of the disabled. It wasn't until a number of years after his accident that he discovered Unitarian Universalism. So what do these converts mean to us? What does it say about us? It appears that we seem to be there to scoop up those in our society who are too passionate, too energetic, and too outspoken for their own faith. Is this something we should be proud of? When I was attending school as a child and even while in college, I learned about many Unitarian and Universalists in our history who have contributed greatly to our society. I, however, was not taught that particular religion they belonged to. I am fortunate that while I was not raised a Unitarian Universalist, my parents advised me at a young age that we lived in a place that such a congregation existed. We would be going there. After moving to Reno, I attended the university and I became involved with the local UU congregation. And the very first day that I walked in the door, I saw a placard with stamps, a collection of stamps. And all of the stamps that I saw in there were of historical Unitarian Universalist figures. And these are people that I recognized from history and I learned about in school, and I was just so impressed and so amazed that these individuals were part of this faith. We are a religion of individuals. We develop our own individual spirituality. We approach the questions of the divine using our individual interpretations. This has been the case through our history, allowing those who would otherwise find themselves at odds with their own religion a place to come and explore. We benefit from their membership, but do they benefit from us? Can we make the assertion that Susan B. Anthony would not have been the inspirational figure she was had it not been for her conversion to our faith? Did we provide her the grounded social liberal ideology she was famous for? Or did she possess those traits already stumbled upon us for convenience, and use our liberal ideologies to recruit and network with other like-minded individuals? I'm not saying that we shouldn't be proud of this, but I'm saying that if we are to continue to survive in this century, we have to reconsider how we do things. How have things changed? In the last 20 years, our society has gone through another phase of development, as it continues to do long after we're gone. The time of the last 20 years will be marked in history, I feel, by change in the religious identity of our nation. The largest growth in religious ideology in our country has been in the group called the unchurched. Be it atheism, humanism, or religious, but not affiliated, that is the largest growing in our society. The largest growth within our religious groups, however, is the highly conservative Christian movements. The more mainstream religions, organizations have seen their memberships plummet, and our religious movement has been stagnant in growth for the last 50 years. The same number of Unitarian Universalists existed then as exist now. So it seems that there is a mass polarization between the highly conservative and those that see no value in religion at all. We can tell ourselves that there exists a huge pool of potential out there with this shift in religious identity in our nation. We have to realize that we cannot continue to provide an example of why they left their churches to begin with. We instead must provide something that is different than what they had in their previous religious affiliations. A truly unique Unitarian Universalist perspective that isn't borrowed from other religious traditions. I, however, freely admit I have no idea on how that form is to be. Because I, as likely most, if not all of you, are stuck in some paradigm how we understand how things have always been done and can't imagine anything different. So in order for us to reform our ideologies under some unique identity, we have to be looking for it. And when we see something, we have to be ready to jump on it. To move forward and onward, we must use the ideas and recommendations offered to us by Reverend Morales, who is the president of our association, when he recommended that we have to first involve ourselves in more social justice witnessing events in our community. Second, growth within our denomination will be a result of our increase in community appearance in community events and the transformation of our religious message into something that is truly unique to our movement. We must learn to speak the language of those who we are engaged with. They're not going to learn our language, after all. We can't be afraid or uncomfortable with using words like God or Christ or faith. Those are the words that they understand. And if we want to initiate the change, we have to learn to speak in those terms. We must learn to communicate effectively with ourselves. We are moving in a direction, and I am certain that those among us here today are not at all comfortable with the direction we are moving in. I ask you to please not be afraid and talk openly about your concerns directly with whomever you may have disagreements with. Also practice the UU virtue of active listening. And when someone speaks their minds, acknowledge their concerns before addressing them. There is far too much toxicity found in our congregations created by these triangular communications. Don't tell me that there isn't any here at West Valley UU, because I'm almost certain there is. These issues are the very reasons why so many people are finding themselves disfranchised with their previous denominations and have left and are likely now unwilling to move into a new faith. How can we be any good at welcoming the unchurched among us if we continue to struggle with these issues? These very issues that drove them away from the previous church home to begin with. Thanks perhaps to the work of Theodore Parker and other transcendentalist reformers, we have come to realize that the paradise promised through the righteous described in the Bible is not a product of God, but instead the product of the transformative message of love that we as Unitarian Universalists believe in. We, unlike our conservative counterparts, have realized that paradise will not come if we simply wait for it. It is our duty to improve the world and move it towards justice, compassion, and love and acceptance. It is our calling to create the promised paradise that so many long for. It is the quest to find the ultimate reality that is my calling and my reasons for being among you as a proud and faithful Unitarian Universalist. Let us move in a direction that will transform our religion away from being the religion of individuals, but rather a large religious movement bent on making this world a better place. Let everyone know of our efforts, that we are a single united force of reason and justice. It is together where I feel we can live up to the dreams and wishes of the many who have come before us, and together we can be one strong body, bending the universe further towards justice, love, and compassion. So now we have a choice. I have no doubt that our Unitarian Universalist movement will survive the 21st, but I ask you, what form will it be in? We can choose to remain on this side of the road and be comfortable with what we are and always have been, a welcoming group to the outcasted and disenfranchised souls that come wandering our doors. There will always be a need for that. Or we can choose to cross this road ahead and move to a new concept of our religion. The road at least appears to be treacherous and dangerous. Lots of traffic for us to avoid, and once we're on the other side, it isn't certain that what we'll find when we're there. I feel it is a journey worth taking, and I hope I can count on you to walk there with me. Also realize that no matter what we choose to do, even if it means that we decide to stay where we are comfortable rather than moving on the other side, I will be there with you and standing with you. For love will guide us, as hope inside us will lead the way. You can give deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us through the hard night. Please join me in hymn number 131. Love will guide us, peace astride us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from green to clear.
realize how appropriate that was going to be, but it followed last week's service about the original history of Unitarian Universalism, so thank you. As we extinguish the chalice, please join in a unison reading of the West Valley Mission Statement at the bottom of your program. This church
provides a safe place to celebrate diversity, draw inspiration for our lives, foster social and environmental justice, and compassionately support each other in our spiritual searches.
I selected our closing words from, as a blessing from the Reverend Olympia Brown. Olympia Brown writes, "Stand by this faith, work for it, and sacrifice it. There is nothing in all the world so important as to be loyal to this faith, which has placed before us the loftiest ideals, which has comforted us in sorrow, strengthened us for noble duty, and made the world beautiful. Do not demand immediate results, but rejoice that we are worthy to be entrusted with this great message, that if you are strong enough to work for the great true principle without counting the cost, go on finding ever new applications of these truths and new enjoyments in their contemplation, always trusting in the one God, which forever lives and loves."